What is going on, guys? Today I got a good one. It's a 2020 Harley Davidson Street Glide Police Edition. So I'm going to be changing the tires. I'm going to take you along, show you how to take both the wheels off. This will work on any, I don't want to say any, but Street Glides, Road Kings. They're all, this year, they're very similar, other than like, you know, the front fairing. But as far as the wheels go, they're pretty much the same. Let's take a look. Got the big old siren. Took the bag off with the carries the AR, their computer box, personal bag, I believe. I don't know. They don't come with a radio. Anyways, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is take these two bolts off. Then there's a bolt underneath here, a clamp. I'm going to take that off. 1/2 inch. 2 bolts, 2 lock washers, hanger plate. Well, I thought it was 9/16, but it's a 15 millimeter. I don't have a depot, so I got to use a wrench. And what I like to do is get a couple wiggles side to side and push down on it. Kind of open up the end here, and you kind of twist it as you pull back and wiggle. Gotta find that sweet. There we go. We're gonna take this side cover off. Just kind of wiggle it, it pops out. Take a flat hit, pop out our safety clip here. And we're going to take our 8 millimeter or 5/16. We're going to take our 36 millimeter. We're going to crack our axle nut loose. Got our nut and a cam washer. They changed the shape of it. A little plastic clip if you have ABS. With the sensors here, you'll see the wire. A little retaining clip that holds the brake hose and the wire together. Then we're going to lift our caliper up, twist it open the pads, and kind of roll it out. Don't go straight up. I'll take a Crown Royal bag here. Keep anything from scratching. Set that off to the side. Grab me a rubber mallet. Alright guys, now what I'm going to do is I've tapped the axle through a little bit. I got the wheel to where it's just touching the floor, so makes this effortless. So there's no pressure or weight on the axle. It just slides right out. What I'm going to do is push the wheel forward, grab the bottom of my belt, roll it off. One thing I forgot to say is to take the spacer out the other side. And then if it already has it, take your spacer, or if you have ABS, take your sensor out, or your spacer, and then we're going to take our caliper bracket out. It simply pops off the shelf, and then give it a little twist and up. Now you don't need to jack the bike up all the way to clear. What we're going to do is kick out the bottom. Take our drive hub off, our rubber isolators, check them, make sure they're not dry, cracked out, or anything. And we're doing the front here. This is a little different than other Street Glides because it got the light right here. But I'm just going to go ahead and take this off real quick. So it's an 8 millimeter if you have a police bike. 8 millimeter or 5/16. So we're going to take a 10 millimeter 12 point. 10 millimeter 12 point. If you got for your regular Street Glide guys, you'll have the same bolt top and bottom. So 10 millimeter 12 point. Now before you take this last bolt all the way out, grab your brake hose and hold it. See how this is starting to fall on its own? You don't want to swing down and smack your fender. Take the hardware out the way. What we're going to do is same thing as the back. Take the caliper, twist it open, go towards the bottom where the fender starts to straighten out. Roll it out. Then take a Crown Royal bag. Usually I can fit both these in here. Tighten it up. This way it doesn't scratch up your fender. Next we're going to take a 24 millimeter and crack our axle loose, take it apart. Nut and washer. As you can see, I've already taken the caliper off on this side. No need to show you twice. Now what we're going to do is take a 6 millimeter Allen. We're going to loosen this pinch bolt up. No need to take it out. We're just going to loosen it up. What I like to do is kind of give the bike a good lift, kind of simulate the wheel, the weight of the wheel being released from the bike. This way, if the bike's going to tip back or something like that, or whatever, you kind of get a feel for it. I'm going to support my wheel, take my rubber mallet, and tap my axle out. Supporting my wheel. There goes one spacer. And spacer on the other side, or your ABS sensor fell out too. What I'm going to do is turn the wheel, then do like we did the back. We're going to kick out the bottom, just like that. Then I'll come back and change these tires, so I can put everything back together. Got the tires changed. First thing you do before you even leave the shop, look for the arrow on your tire. Make sure it matches your arrow that you took the wheel off, or it's, if you got ABS, it coordinates with your bearings and everything, that the wheel goes the correct direction. Next thing, what I like to do is clean spacers, clean bearing surfaces, clean and lubricate our axle. This bearing has grooves in it. I like to face those outward. Last manual I read said so. So I'm going to grab the wheel here, grab my spacer, stick it there. I'm going to kind of sandwich that between the fork and the wheel. Grab my axle, get that started. Now on this side, take your spacer or your ABS sensor. Before you got your axle all the way through, you should be able to fit it in between there. Lift your wheel up. There we go. I'll take my washer, stick it on, take my nut, get it started. Now on the other side of the axle, you'll see there's a hole drilled in it. You want to take a screwdriver or something, make sure that hole is parallel with the ground. Also, you're going to use that to hold the axle from turning when you're tightening down this axle nut. I'm going to straighten my axle out. The next thing you want to do is grab your ABS sensor, turn it counterclockwise, and then till it stops. I'm using the screwdriver to keep the axle from spinning. Next, we're going to put our caliper on, check our brake pads. He's got about, let's say, a third life left to a quarter. Now we're going to go to the bottom again, roll it on. There you go. Get it up there. Then we're going to take this. This is a cable guide for your sensor. Get that where it needs to be. Take our hardware, find the hole, start it by hand. It goes the same for the other one. I got the spacer. Gonna fish that through. Get that started by hand. This one I've already torqued. A little bit more difficult. Now we're gonna tighten this the axle clamp bolt. I got the other caliper on. We're going to spin the wheel, make sure it spins pretty free, nothing's dragging or anything like that. Brake pads will drag a little bit. Pump our brakes up. Alright, let's go do that, guys. Again, this one's easy. We know the drive side, brake side, wheel direction. So, I've already checked. Clean your bearings, check them. Like clean the outside, just check them while you got the wheel off. Same thing with your drive hub. Take our rubber isolators, cush drive, whatever you want to call it. Stick it in, stick our drive hub in. check your bearing again. This would be the best time to do it. If whoever you're doing changing your wheels or your tires, some places might not check it or overlook it or something like that. So it's always nice to check it yourself to make sure for sure. Anyways, let's put this wheel in. Now we got the wheel kind of in. What I did is I lowered it till the axle, the swing arm slot's about right with the bearings. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna put my belt on, take my spacer, the one that fell. It's pretty thin. I cleaned it and put it between the swing arm and the bearing. Cleaned and lubricated my axle. Get it started through the wheel. Now I'm just going to push it past the end of the axle, past this bottom support. So I know by then the axle's almost on the other side. I don't know if you can see it. I can almost see the tip. I can see the tip of the axle right there. Take our caliper bracket. Get it on the ledge. Make sure it's on there all the way. Take your ABS sensor, your spacer, depending on what you got. Clean it off. And we're going to stick it between the wheel and the bracket. Wiggle things around. There we go. Woo, this one was tough. I'm going to start tapping my axle through gingerly while I use one hand to move stuff around. Make sure it all gets lined up. Alright, now we're hitting our swing arm. Make an adjustment to the height of the bike. Bam. Take my caliper. Like I said, those pads are extremely thin. Same way we took it off. Kind of roll it on. My hardware. Start it by hand. Now our spacer or axle spacer or washer has a D slot in it. And you'll see there's a flat spot on the axle. You need to put that on. Now we see this witness ring marked where the axle nut was riding, so that's going to face outward. Like that. Put our nut on. The tapered side, beveled side, faces outward. Now what you want to do is just snug the axle. Just give it a little pressure. Okay. Got the wheel off the ground to where I can spin. Alright guys, you can see this notch right here, and then the cam washer. What it's going to do is as I rotate, it's going to rotate the other washer too, because that D it's going to push the axle backwards evenly, putting tension on our belt, and also making sure the wheel's square with the bike. See the belt tightening up? Now our belt's a little snug. That's fine. What I do is I spin the wheel forward. What this does is it equalizes the tension. See, now we're too loose. Okay? But not too much. Not too loose. I'm just going to give it a little up like that. That should be good. What I'm going to do is tighten down the axle. What I'm going to do is grab my torque wrench on this side. And then you need to put just like the front, I'm using that same wrench we adjusted with to hold the axle from spinning. Put that on there. Tighten our axle. Now spin your wheel. And check your belt. Double check your belt tension. No. Now that we got our axle tight, we're going to take our safety clip, put it in the groove. There we go. And we're going to take our wire retaining clip, put it on. Now the manual says to have it up against the crimp of the brake hose. Make sure your wire is running the routed the right. Should come out through this hole right here. Okay? And pump our brakes up. Spin our wheel. Make sure nothing's grinding. I'm not going to show putting the exhaust back on. It's very simple. I'll put our cover on. There you go, guys. 2020 Harley Davidson Street Glide. Both wheels taken off and on a police bike, nonetheless. But it'll work on your 2020 regular Street Glide Special, Road Glide Special, Road Glide Limited, Ultra Limited, whatever 2020s they have out, even 19s and stuff, Road King Specials, all them stuff. Essentially the same process. Hell, even the same tools for the most part. So if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. Comment down below. Just be gentle. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out my other videos of my rides. Thanks for watching. Adios.